Yeah, I was honored, actually, when Ryan came to ask me to be here today. I really like this forum. I think this is really interesting. I've never seen anything like this before. And I was also excited by the opportunity to not talk about my research, which is great. So I'm seizing that opportunity. The challenge that Ryan put to me was to talk a little bit about my experiences in the HRS program. And so I had to think about sort of what exactly I wanted to talk about, and I came across this video the other day that I wanted to share. Oh, here we go. Okay, what we're going to see here, what I'm going to show you, this is a test of selective attention. Okay, so we'll say right off the bat what this is. What you're going to look at, you're going to see a video that has 6 people, 3 of them in white t-shirts, 3 in black t-shirts, and they're going to be passing basketballs back and forth. And your goal, your task, is to try and focus only on the people with the white t-shirts and count how many passes they make. Okay? Now, it's good. I'm looking at the mix of people here. There's a good gender mix because there's a gender effect here. So one gender is better than the other. So I'm curious to see if it plays out. You can guess what that might be. Now, this is a standardized test, so some of you may have seen this before, and if you have, keep the answer to yourself so you don't ruin it for the rest of your colleagues here. Okay, so for those who haven't seen this before, so how many passes? Oh, there's the correct answer right there. I gave it up to you. Okay, so now how many people saw something strange as well in that video? All right, so about, I'm going to say half to 2/3. Right, so if we watch it one more time, without counting, so now if we just watch the scene, here they are playing basketball. All right. So there's a phenomenon there. So usually it's about right. Usually about half or so, half to 2/3 will see it, and the other half won't. This phenomenon has been described as attentional blindness. I told you to focus on one thing, and you did that so well that you were able to block out other extraneous information. Now, I find that really fascinating. I think this is really interesting, and so I thought, okay, I'm going to center my talk around that. I popped this up here too. Some may have seen this. This is this sort of little cartoon that suggests that basically, in your undergrad level, you know a little about a lot of things. But as you sort of become more and more focused, you start to know a lot about sort of smaller and smaller fields, right? And in fact, they say, well, if you're not careful, you overshoot. You may effectively become an expert in almost nothing, right, from a relative standpoint. All right. So I put that there. I want to talk a little bit about my story. And so I'm going to use this as, like I say, a cautionary tale. I put this here. This is a perfect reproduction of feedback that I gave to first-year psychology when I was in university. Because at the time, of course, I knew everything, all right? Or what was it? I knew a little bit about a lot. First-year psych, we had to take it to get into physio school, so one of the humanities. And obviously, I was a jackass, because this was the feedback that I gave. At the time, I wanted the hard science, right? At the time, I was getting into physiotherapy. I wanted to know what could be proven, right? Give me the hard, objective stuff. I jumped into physio, jumped into my master's degree right afterwards. Again, looking at basic science, looking at neural mechanisms of muscular fatigue. Give me H reflexes, give me reflex latencies and amplitudes. I want to see what I can measure. But at the same time, I was out in clinical practice as well. And started to identify these phenomena that I just couldn't explain. Why is this patient who has clearly a rotator cuff tendonitis crying? Right? Why is this patient over here who seems to have good normal range of motion, normal strength, you know, their pain isn't terribly bad, how come they're saying they're not yet recovered? And I started to identify these things that I just couldn't explain through hard science as much as I really, really wanted to, right? Because I was focused, that's what I was focused on, biomechanics, right? Joint mechanics, all these things that we focus on in physiotherapy. But it was unsatisfying. I was missing something. So in coming back to start my PhD, after 5 years of working clinically, I had sort of developed this idea that my narrow focus on joint mechanics, physiology, was not really telling me the whole story. And I have to say that in the PhD program here at Western, I had the great opportunity to really be exposed to different ways of thinking. Okay? One of the thoughts, one of the opportunities I took while I was here was to try and move outside of the field. Had some great learning experiences here in our program, but what did I do? I had to eat a bit of humble pie. I went and took a couple of graduate level psychology courses. I wanted to know more about it. I took a grad level philosophy course, knowing nothing about philosophy, but feeling like I had been too focused for too long. What I really wanted to do was to broaden, to expand, and this was really my opportunity. Now I can tell you, if anyone had ever told me that I would write a paper that had anything to do with philosophy, I would have said, you're crazy at the outset of this. Okay? But in fact, when I look back over the course of my academic career, I've been fortunate enough to win 2 awards for research. Neither one of them had anything to do with my thesis. Now perhaps that's a statement on the quality of my thesis. I don't know. But what I've found is by looking up, right, by not going with the sort of norm in my field, which was, again, focus on the hard stuff, the science stuff, by focusing on some of the black-shirted players instead of the white-shirted players, my experiences, my opportunities for research really became so much more satisfying. So what I'm saying here is, you know, you're in a field, you're in graduate studies, you should be working towards becoming an expert in some field. And part of that is certainly focus. But I want you to think about the other things that go along with becoming an expert. What I'm going to encourage you to do while you're in this program, while you've got the chance, is to look outside of yourself, is to think about your own personal values and beliefs and maybe how you can challenge those. Because this is your opportunity. I'm going to tell you that you will never have a better opportunity to stretch yourself, to take some risks, to go out, maybe look at courses outside of your program. See what other people can teach you. I have been blown away by some of the things that I was able to take away from being a PhD student. And now I find myself almost being a bit of a radical thinker in a way, coming from a field of really manual therapy, which is, again, tends to be very sort of biomedically focused, talking about, well, maybe there's some psychological issues to things. Maybe there are some genetic issues to things that perhaps we haven't thought about now. And now I've got this really wide open target. You know, this sort of wide open road. I can see, I can't even see all the way down the road as far as what we could possibly look at. There are just so many opportunities that have opened up. And again, I'm going to encourage you at this point to, from time to time, look up from what you're doing. Don't follow the rules when I say only focus on the white-shirted players. Go against the rules, go against your norms sometimes, and sometimes you'll find that focusing on the black-shirted players actually would have been a lot more interesting. All right, enjoy your time.